existing home is one of your most important assets, yet too many people rely on sites, shows, and tips from people who are not in the real estate business when making important decisions. It's time to get real and trust a professional. This is Real Estate Today with host Deb Tomaro. In this series, you'll learn about making smart decisions when it comes to buying a home, selling a home, or even staying in the home you're in. Now, here is your host, Realtor Deb Tomaro.
Hello and welcome to another fabulous edition of Real Estate Today. I feel like I haven't done a show in weeks, right? It's only been 1 week. We took last week off for Halloween, not for any good reason because I don't get trick-or-treaters and I don't dress up, but I thought, I don't know.
It's a good day just to take a break.
Right, yeah. Exactly. So I am your host, Deb Tomaro, and you can always find us on Facebook. That's Deb Tomaro Realtor, where we post all kinds of links and information about our shows and other good information. The one thing that we didn't get to talk about last week, because we weren't here on Halloween, was the Property Brothers picture.
Which one?
The one, both of them dressed as Wonder Woman.
No.
You can't unsee that. That was so disturbing.
I know. There should have been a disclaimer in any type of social media or emails that I received from friends.
Like me, yeah.
To say,
I sent that to you.
Please, put on some blinders.
Not suitable for children. Mm-mm. Will leave permanent scars.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen that, that is actually one of my most popular posts on Facebook in the past week. So that tells you. But, it's that you stop to see the car wreck kind of thing. So, all right. Well, the other voice that you hear is Karen Rastel, who's the best damn lender in the state of Indiana with Ruoff Mortgage. So we appreciate you joining us. And I also want to give two shout outs. I have two shout outs to give today before we get into the show. The first one is to Rachel, who is our associate producer, who, as we know, has the face of an angel and the mouth of a sailor. So we don't typically let her on air, but she is celebrating her birthday today. So we gave her the day off.
Happy birthday, Rachel.
So happy birthday, Rachel. We love you. And the other one was I got a message from our old friend Aaron McClellan, who is in Cincinnati now.
Yeah.
And he told me he's getting ready to buy a house, and he's been listening religiously. And so I say thank you, Aaron, and I give a shout out to him.
Yay.
So that was kind of nice, too. That made
cool.
My day as I was at the gas station on my way over here in the cold, because it's gotten cold and dreary. So we are going to jump into things today because we have a very special guest. I always feel like that. What's that TV show? There you go. Next on A Very Special Blossom. We have a very special guest. I know that's dating me.
I didn't watch Blossom.
I didn't either, but I don't know why I know that. Okay, just the weird things I need to empty out of my head. Oh, so we've got a guest, and I've got a lead in.
Okay, because
I love to bash Zillow. We bash Zillow a lot on this show because it's just the bane of a realtor's existence. So I got an email on Monday. Okay. So yesterday, from Zillow at 7:11 a.m. So I woke up to this, and they wanted to let me know that my home value had gone down.
Oh.
$247.
That was nice of them.
$247. So I had to purge a little bit because I had, when I read this, then I get the Zillow rage.
Yes.
So I have to kind of write things down as my therapy. So this is what I wrote. I got another random update from Zillow about the value of my home. Their highly intelligent Stephen Hawking-like analysts have specifically studied my home and sent me an email to let me know that the value of my home went down $247. Do you see why this drives me batty and leads me to sedatives? Because $247 is maybe, I did the math, 0.07% of the entire value of my home. And they are telling me that they are so good that they can get that close to my actual value of my home. I want to believe in people, but I'm sorry, you can't get that close. That's pretty ridiculous. And yet so many people hold on to that as if it's the only truth in the universe. It's the only thing we know to be true is estimates. Mm-hmm. I hate that word. So that brings us, I'm going to come full circle here. Wait for it, because it's going to happen. It brings us to our guest today. So my question is, have Zillow been in your home lately? Have they seen your receipts? Have they inspected your new cabinets? Have they inspected your basement wall for cracks? I've never seen a Zillow person come knock on my door.
I feel like I get a Zillow update every time a house sells in my neighborhood. And I live in a neighborhood. I know you don't. Right. So I think anytime a house sells or it gets listed, which happens all the time, then I'm getting these emails.
But they're not actually coming into your house and looking at how your house compares with that house, are you? Right.
No.
So if you hire an amazing contractor like our guest today, Lauren Wood, see how I came back around there? Zillow isn't going to know that, right?
Correct.
They are not going to give Lauren the credit that he deserves. So have you ever, Lauren, gotten a call from Zillow to ask about the scope of any work that you've done on a house?
Not to my knowledge.
Not to your knowledge. Excellent question. So Lauren and his team do a beautiful remodel in your home. And how does Zillow know? How does Zillow give you appropriate credit? They don't. The end. Moving on. Point made, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let me introduce our guest. If you are listening locally, and I don't know, I haven't really talked with Lauren, we have a big audience in Poland. We're very in the country, Poland, not the
Poland,
town.
Indiana.
Yeah, we have a town nearby called Poland, and we have a town in Indiana called Mexico. Not those towns, but and we're also very popular in various East Asian countries. I have a theory that people listen to me so they can learn to speak English, which is kind of disturbing, but I'm not sure. But anyways, but even if you're not listening locally, if you're Aaron and you're listening to Cincinnati, there's value in today's show because we're going to talk about remodeling and just some of the things that you need to know and how it works. And I can't tell you how many people I show houses to, and I think, well, this would be perfect, except we just need to take out this wall. And obviously HGTV makes it look really easy, and except we all know we're supposed to like determine if something's a load-bearing wall, right? And so we always look at it and go, yeah, I don't think it's a load-bearing wall.
That's the one thing I have learned from HGTV is that you just can't just go randomly like knock out a wall without checking with someone first to make sure that, you know.
Don't believe your realtor if they tell you it's a non-load-bearing wall because they don't know.
Right.
But they'll probably say that. So there's going to be some really good information. So let's start off with, I want to know just a little bit about history of Lauren Wood Builders and kind of how you got started and how you got to where you are today.
Sure. Well, first of all, I just want to make sure that folks in Poland and elsewhere know how to spell Lauren Wood Builders. It's LOREN-WOOD Builders. And even if you're not local, you can check us out on Instagram and Facebook, because we put all of our awesome stuff on there.
Yes. You have a great Facebook page. I always get a lot of inspiration looking at that.
I prefer Instagram, but
do you?
We support all the social media.
See, you're younger than I am.
We don't. Tweet.
No tweet. Okay,
however,
that's fine.
You asked about the origins of...
Because I know you weren't always a builder.
No, that's not true.
You were always a builder.
But this company did not start until about 7 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what precipitated you starting the company and kind of making that change into full-time?
That's a really long story. I'll try and give you the Reader's Digest version. Sure. But I taught locally for about 10 years, and I built on the side, worked for other builders and worked for myself doing smaller scale jobs. And at some point, I decided to take a leave of absence from teaching for a year and try building full time just because I loved it and I wanted the experience. And after a month, I knew I wasn't going back to teaching. And one of my old students is my office manager. I've hired many of my students over the years, and
and some other teachers, because I know some other teachers, at least one other teacher that works for you.
Some of my staff are teachers. I don't try to find them, but somehow they find us.
Right.
It was for me. It was just made sense. I love building. I still love building, and it just.
Cool. And so how many people do you have on staff right now?
29.
Wow. But when you started, it was just you?
Yes, just me.
And so in 7 years, you've gone from 1 to 29.
Yes.
That's crazy. And that doesn't count subs because you probably work with a lot of subs.
Yeah, that's just direct full-time employees.
And how many projects have you completed? Do you know that number?
I don't know that number.
More than a dozen.
Yes.
How many projects do you have going on right now?
I like for my clients to think that they're the only one.
Oh my gosh. All right, moving on. Right. And so do you do more, I know you do both building and remodeling, right?
We have 3 divisions, remodeling, new construction, and commercial.
Okay.
But we do jobs from the very, very small, replacing an automatic closure on a door for a downtown law firm, today I've got a guy looking at a water leak in a basement behind an electric panel. We're also on the other end of the spectrum doing a large-scale commercial renovation for the local climbing gym, Hoosier Heights. They've bought a church on South Rogers, and we're doing a build-out of a steel building for their metal building for their roped climbing, and renovating the old church inside for bouldering and yoga.
In McDowell?
Yeah, the McDowell Baptist Church.
I showed that property when it was for sale. Interesting.
Well, check it out now because it is awesome.
That is going to be...
Check it out on my Instagram page.
Okay. I'll get on Instagram and take a look at those.
I already started following him as he was talking.
Okay, I have to figure out how to follow people on Instagram because I can barely open it. But that's cool.
So we have a group of project managers that focus strictly on renovation, a handful that focus on new construction, and a handful that focus on commercial.
Interesting.
So is there anything that you have turned away from, or someone's come to you with some type of vision, or are you the type of person that would just try to take on any project?
We definitely have a hard time saying no. At the end of the day, we're in the service industry, so I like building cool stuff.
Yeah.
Certainly it's our mission to go out there and build interesting projects that add to the fabric of the community. But at the same time, if you come to me with a leak in your wall behind your electric panel, someone's got to fix it. And if I feel like it's something that someone on our team can tackle, then I feel like it's my responsibility to get in and help. So I don't know if that answers your question very clearly.
No, it does. It does. It just seems that, that if someone had a very unique idea, or let's convert this building into something else, that seems like right up your alley, that you would say, let's see what we can do with this.
Yeah, we're definitely drawn towards architecturally significant, engaging, interesting, unique projects. You don't see us building the same
cookie cutter houses.
Yeah, that's just not. There are other builders that do that very well, and hard to compete in that market, and we don't want to. We're certainly heavily in the custom home renovation commercial, and those are the projects that we gravitate towards.
Which is why the Instagram page is so cool, and the Facebook, all the pictures are so cool, because every project is so interesting. It's just not that, I don't know, you don't seem like the kind of guy to watch a lot of HGTV, so. I don't have a television. I've never had one good.
My whole life, but at the Y, they do show those in front of the exercise machine.
Right.
So every once in a while I'm running on the treadmill at the Y, I see with no sound the HGTV.
Yeah, well, we talk about HGTV a lot because the purpose of the show is to kind of dispel those HGTV rumors and talk about what's real versus what's HGTV. And, they do all the flip or flop, and we always kind of joke that their design aesthetic is exactly the same on every single project. And that's not the kind of thing you're going to find on Lauren Wood Builders website or Facebook and Instagram. So, all right, we're going to go to our first break and come back and talk about the building and renovating process and where a homeowner starts, because I think that a lot of people out there have that question. So stick around. You're listening to Real Real Estate Today, your home for smart real estate.
The Internet's #1 talk station. #1 talk station. VoiceAmerica.com.
Are you interested in buying or selling a home? Not sure what the next step is? Deb can help. Go to realrealestatetoday.com and click on Start Here. You'll be asked a few simple questions, and Deb will personally contact you to help answer your real estate questions and connect you with a realtor in her personal nationwide network of realtors. So even if you aren't in Deb's service area, you're guaranteed to find a good match wherever you are. Visit realrealestatetoday.com.
Are you finding your frequency? It can be described as that space between failure and success. It's the future of digital media. It's finding your voice. It's engaging topics, content, and ideas. Jeff and Ryan discuss the digital media space and all of its aspects. It's about making the mistakes, taking the chances, summoning the intestinal fortitude to step out of your comfort zone, and discovering what you can accomplish when you decide to try, decide to learn, decide that you have something to say, and find your frequency. Live Fridays at 2 p.m. Pacific Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Variety Channel.
do count. Tune into Inner Revolutionary Radio and join the spontaneous wave of people all over the planet who, like you, are changing our world from the inside out. Follow the movement. Meet guests who are shaking things up. Call in and gain insights and courage to empower your own voice. Large or small, your part counts. So join us. Co-hosted by Helen Hillocks, Todd Benton, and Chris Reeves. Inner Revolutionary Radio airs live every Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific Time, 6 p.m. Eastern, on the Voice America Variety Channel.
Streaming live, the leader in Internet talk radio, voiceamerica.com.
You are listening to Real Estate Today. To reach Deb Tomaro or with questions and comments about the show, please send an email to Deb at realrealestatetoday.com. That's Deb at realrealestatetoday.com. Now, back to this week's program.
Okay, we're back. We're talking today with Lauren Wood of Lauren Wood Builders. Lauren, what's the best way people can contact you if they're interested in finding more information? Obviously, looking you up on Facebook and Instagram.
Website is probably the best place. www.laurenwoodbuilders.com.
LOREN Wood Builders.
Thank you. We actually have a new website coming out today.
Oh, wow.
I've not even seen it yet, but I believe it's live. There's a contact page on there. Email is the best way to reach me. I'm typically on a job site or out and about during the day. My email is lauren@laurenwoodbuilders.com, and please reach out if you got a project you want to talk about.
Absolutely, and I can vouch for that. He does his email at like 4 o'clock in the morning. So if you email him when you wake up in the morning, you usually have a response.
Turn your notifications off.
Yeah, exactly, right? Exactly. Okay, so I wanted to talk about just the process. You've got, and I don't know if this is on your new website, because I was going through your old website. Hopefully it still is, because you talked about the 4-part process and the 4 phases of going through a rebuild or a renovation project. And so I want to talk a little bit about that, but I want to talk first about where does a homeowner start? That's a question that I get a lot too. And I know that a lot of people go to the builder first, and a lot of people say, well, do I need to find an architect or a designer? Or when do I use an architect versus a designer? So what can you help educate us about on that process?
Well, that's a good question, one that I think a lot about. Because I talk to a lot of homeowners who probably aren't ready to talk to me or haven't thought through the important things. I actually wrote a blog post on it and then had my wife read through it to proofread it. And she said, you can't do a blog post that's 30 pages long. And then I was going to trim it down. I never did. But it's hard because there's a lot of stuff you need to think about. When someone calls me to come over to their house and consult, I want to talk about the scope of work. Mm-hmm. What do you want done? How much do you want to spend on it? When do you want it done? I think those are 3 really important questions, and you would maybe be shocked. I'm always repeatedly shocked at how often 2 people in a household aren't on the same page with those questions.
Yeah,
what's the scope of work here? And one person says, we're doing the kitchen, and the other person says, I think we're doing the basement first. And you really need to be on the same page with that.
Before you call someone.
Yeah, and the money piece even bigger.
Yeah.
Because that budget is going to drive what you're actually able to do. And a lot of people have no idea what it costs to do stuff, and that's not their fault. They've not done big renovations.
That's not their fault, but you could also have someone in a household that, I don't know, they just think that they may understand the pricing on a remodel and say, oh, I think that this is what we're going to spend, and not really try to be realistic about it. I mean, do you ever come across clients like that?
Yes, I do all the time. I come across clients who say, here's what we're going to spend and here's what we're going to do. And a huge part of my job is disabusing people of their preconceived notions about what stuff costs.
Bursting people's dreams.
Yeah, and it's hard, but I've also found that it's just really important to talk about that right off the bat. They don't want to waste their time or our time, and just be realistic. Here's what money can buy. And so I talk a lot about what money can buy in renovations. Mm-hmm.
Or just the quality of the materials that you use or where you get them from, not just a standard.
Well, right. So I had a flood at one of my rental houses, and we're in the process of dealing with insurance, which Karen's been through as well. And we were talking about insurance isn't covering new countertops, but while we're replacing the cabinets, we might as well put new countertops in. And the guy's like, it's not like you just go to Menards and you buy some countertops. That's misleading. That they feel like, and I love Menards, but I'm there like every day. But they don't tell you all the little bits and pieces that add in that probably end up doubling the cost. Plus, then you throw in the issue of quality, which a lot of people don't give value to either. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's very common now for me to go look at a project for the first time, and the homeowners have idea books that they put together on Houzz or on Pinterest.
Yeah.
And they're all of $1 million homes, and they've got a $30,000 budget to renovate half of their home. And it's hard to try to help them align their goals, their taste, their budget, the scope.
So let me ask you, is there anything that, like in a dream world, like that's what we try to use this show for sometimes, is to help people prepare better. Are there things that people could be doing before they meet with you that would help? Or is the expectation that I'm going to present my ideas to my builder and then he's going to tell me no?
So I met with a couple last night, incidentally, and they had a lot of various projects they wanted done, and that's a common visit for me. And I thought, okay, great. They've not really thought about what this is going to cost or what the timeline is or what they need. And they methodically walked me through every individual task that they wanted done. And then they said, here's the budget that we think we'll handle it. And it turns out that budget was a really decent target, I think, for the scope that they had. I said, when do you want it done? They said, well, we'd really like to start in March, but we could start a little later in the spring. They ticked off all of the points. I said,
dream client.
We really need a designer. We are just a builder. They said, we figured we would, but we thought we'd look for a good builder first, and we did our homework online, and you had a lot of really good reviews, so we reached out to you. And they'd done all of their homework. They knew they wanted a designer, or were probably going to need one, but they wanted to vet their builder first. They said, we want to put together the right team. We know we want a pool, and we've actually talked to some pool people, but we figured we wanted to work with a pool installer that the builder had good experiences with and could work well with. And that's like,
it sounds like
I signed up for this job, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. How do you think they got a good handle on the cost?
They probably did a lot. It sounded to me like they had done quite a bit more homework than the average person. But right as I said that, I remember them saying that they've actually built 2 houses prior to this project. So they had some real world experience. And I will say that working for someone who has built before is invariably, well, that's not true. It's oftentimes easier because they know the true cost of stuff. They know what goes wrong. They know what goes
the surprises.
Right. They know what their weaknesses and strengths are in terms of decision making and design,
right?
And they know what to expect with the process.
Excellent. So while we're on the topic of money and finances, Karen, do you have any input on where people get this money? Because we always talk about how, like on HGTV, they just make it look like I'm going to buy this house and I'll have an extra $200,000. I'm not sure where it comes from to do the reno.
Right. I mean, every now and then someone will come to us and say, my company, we don't do true home equity loans. That's more like a bank or credit union alley. Like they'll take the equity out of the home and people can use that for these improvements. But a lot of time it's not covering the length of, the amount of work that they want done. And so they're looking for loan options that would allow them to say, hey, I'm going to do this entire kitchen remodel, and I'll probably put about $50,000 into it, and I'd like my loan to be based off of what my house will be valued afterwards. I mean, there are some programs that would allow someone to do that, but those get a little dicey, but they are out there for people to inquire about. But a lot of times for some basic remodels and things like, when I say basic, not like a whole kitchen remodel and change of floor plan, sometimes they may need to fund that themselves and then come in and do a refinance afterwards to get the cash back.
So this is kind of I don't know, I was raised to not ask people about money things and like, you know, how much they make or where this comes from. Like that was sort of like the tradition I was raised in, but I'm going to ask it anyways and feel very uncomfortable doing it. Do you ever ask for like proof of funds or proof of how people are going to pay when they're doing a big remodel project, or do you just kind of go with your gut?
I don't. And we talk a lot about this because we do. To all my clients, you really are the only one. But that said, we do an awful lot of work, and we certainly have had a handful of times when we just didn't get paid in the end, and it's always a self-finance job where they're just paying as we go. And I love working with banks and with mortgage brokers because, you know, you're going to get paid. All you have to do is do the work, which we always do. But to your earlier point, most, you know, in our renovation work, 75%, no, it's probably more than that. It's probably 90% just self-finance. Or rather, they don't have a conventional construction loan, renovation loan. They probably are borrowing money somewhere, taken out of other investments or what have you, and they may well refinance the home at the end of it. A small handful will... Especially for really, I mean, we do some renovations that are $500,000 plus. Right. More often than not on those, they go through a construction loan, which is very much like a new construction loan where they have a contract with a builder and they have an estimate and they have plans that the bank can vet and praise, etc.
And one of the important parts when you're doing that kind of loan, because I think a lot of people think, you know, oh yeah, I'll do that and I'll get money to do renovations, is that you do have to use a builder like Lauren Wood Builders. You know, you need to use someone who is approved by various banks, someone who has tax returns to show that they're a legit company that's done business for a while, right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of lenders kind of follow the same the same guidelines, but they'll ask for like I don't know if I want to call it a builder's resume, but they will check
references.
Yeah,
I've had that.
Or how are they paying those vendors? If you're not paying the, you know, where you get materials from,
or your subs. Yeah, right.
There might be some problems.
Yeah. Okay.
So on that note, and that's been on my mind a little bit recently. I think that even with, aside from the bank, I think the homeowner should do their homework on the builder and maybe ask for who their big suppliers are and call them and make sure they're getting paid and recommend them, because
we were talking about a situation that where, you know, a builder was no longer building and kind of left some people in the lurch. Do you think that had the buyers made some calls, they could have maybe tracked that down a little bit?
Well, yes, and I think, yes, certainly in that case, but more broadly, I've been out a couple of times just in the last year where in one case a lawyer and in another case the homeowner asked me to come look at a job that had gone bad and make recommendation for how to remedy, and in the lawyer's case to maybe just help them think through what the homeowner's position was. And in one of the cases I asked the homeowner, just very frankly, I said, well, how did you find this builder? And they said, well, I saw them on Facebook and they had some really, you know, good reviews for bathroom remodel that they'd done. And then they hired him to do this room addition, and it was just, they were over their head. So I think people need to do their homework.
I think that's a great point.
In this day and age, it's easy to do your homework.
Yeah, it goes back to what Deb, you've always said, is like interview your realtor, go in, ask questions, interview your lender, like any part of this process, do your own homework to make sure that you feel comfortable that the person that you're about to let into your home is actually going to come through with the work that you're anticipating.
For sure.
To circle back to your question, I should do my homework with a homework, but that's hard to do. And
but a lot of us too have been doing that a long time. You kind of trust your gut and you kind of have a sense of like, you know, this one's going to be good or whatever. Yes. All right, let's go to another break, and then we'll be back and we'll talk about Lauren Wood Builders' 4-part process in doing a project. So hang in there. You're listening to Real Real Estate Today, your home for smart real estate.
Streaming Streaming live. The leader in Internet talk radio. VoiceAmerica.com.
Are you interested in buying or selling a home? Not sure what the next step is? Deb can help. Go to realrealestatetoday.com and click on Start Here. You'll be asked a few simple questions, and Deb will personally contact you to help answer your real estate questions and connect you with a realtor in her personal nationwide network of realtors. So even if you aren't in Deb's service area, you're guaranteed to find a good match wherever you are. Visit realrealestatetoday.com.
In the spirit of Have Couch Will Travel, Dr. Carol Lieberman creates a haven of sanity in an increasingly insane world. Each day we are bombarded with news of events that have never crossed our wildest nightmares. Society is spiraling out of control and everyone is reeling from it. But now there's an answer. The best way to keep sane in this insane world is to tune in to Dr. Carol's Couch on Voice America. Dr. Carol, a certified media psychiatrist, will broadcast live from her Beverly Hills office every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Call or log in and get help with whatever is sending you reeling, whenever you need a soothing voice to calm and advise you. That's Dr. Carol's Couch every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Pacific Time here on America's Voice, VoiceAmerica.com.
What if there was a radio show that could demonstrate how we can cut your taxes in half without diminishing needed government services? One that could explain how to create tens of millions of jobs at no cost to taxpayers, as well as fantastic yet easily affordable health care. Side effects include cutting crime rates nationwide, providing better education for our children, international peace and harmony, and protecting your private personal data from government intrusion. Tune in to Libertarians Working for You with Arvin Vora, Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time on Voice America Variety.
Tune in to The Patricia Raskin Show on VoiceAmerica.com every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time and 11 a.m. Pacific Time. This is the program that helps you turn obstacles into opportunities, challenges into solutions, and find answers to tough questions with the award-winning powerhouse voice of radio, Patricia Raskin. So tune in and call in to The Patricia Raskin Show, Mondays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time and 11 a.m. Pacific Time, right here on the Voice America Variety Channel.
The Internet's #1 talk station. #1 talk station. VoiceAmerica.com.
You are listening to Real Estate Today. To reach Deb tomorrow or with questions and comments about the show, please send an email to Deb at realrealestatetoday.com. That's Deb at realrealestatetoday.com. Now, back to this week's program.
Thanks for coming back. We are talking today with Lauren Wood of Laurenwood Builders, and you can find him on laurenwoodbuilders.com on their website and also on Instagram. What's your Instagram? What's that called? Handle? I'm not cool enough. Is it just Lauren Wood?
No, it's Laurenwood Builders.
Laurenwood Builders.
Yeah, it's Laurenwood Builders, Loren.
Yes, thank you.
I always forget it's called Handle, too.
I don't know. I try to be cool, and then I ended up looking like an idiot. But anyways, okay, so I want to talk about the 4-part process that you have on your website, the 4 different phases, because I think this can help just sort of give people a starting place, because I think so many people are deer in headlights. You probably experience a lot of deer in headlights. Like, I know I want to do this. What do I do now? And, you know, I'm kind of going through this with my insurance claim, and I'm like, I don't know what I don't know. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be asking, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do next, and I'm looking for someone to guide me, and not so much. But anyways, so phase 1 is establish the scope, which you said you kind of do a lot of meetings. And so do you prefer that people start with you as opposed to a designer or an architect?
Yes, please start with me.
Okay, that's what I thought. I feel like I've had this conversation with you before.
Or start with whomever your builder is. If you were listening earlier, I was talking about a client I met with yesterday, and they said, we just want a team that works well together. There's a lot of good pool guys. There's a lot of good builders. There's a lot of good concrete guys. People have their insular teams. Mm-hmm. My tile guy works almost exclusively on my jobs. You know, I work with a handful of designers and architects. There are other good ones out there, but the ones that I work with are more responsive to me, and we're a little more on the same page. If you look at a builder's website and you like what you see, it's in all likelihood due in some part to the designers that they use. Mm-hmm. So if you're drawn to that, you should call that builder. They're going to tell you what designers they use.
Okay, so you've got sort of a pool of designers that you use, some of whom I would love to have as a guest on this show, Barry. And then, so let me ask you this: in establishing the scope, do people just have you come over and they're like, well, we want to redo the kitchen or we want to blow out this wall, and that's about all they know, right? I mean, they've got their Pinterest or their house files of, we like these tiles and we like this look, but my guess is that they don't know anything structurally as to how doable that is. Is that something that you then kind of can take a look at pretty quickly?
Yes, and that's a very common call for me. Come look at this. I have a meeting later where we're looking at removing a wall, adding a kitchen, redoing the master bathroom. It's a very common remodel in Bloomington's homes that were built with these compartmentalized spaces. But yes, people call and they know they want their kitchen to change. They don't know if a wall can be moved, should it be moved, how it should be oriented, and whether or not they need a designer or an architect. And so typically in the first meeting, I'm looking at the difficulty of the job from my vantage point. Okay. Are things pretty clear? Are they going to stay fairly well situated as they are? Maybe it's pretty easy to see that this wall should go out. Whether or not it's a load-bearing wall, if the ensuing layout is pretty easy to see, my cabinet maker and I can work together to flesh out the design and move forward. If it's a really complex footprint or floor plan and I'm not easily able to wrap my mind around how it could be best optimized to meet their needs, then I'll recommend designers that we work with often on that type of remodel.
So designers aren't necessarily required,
but they're appreciated.
Yeah, but they are appreciated. That's great to know. That's an excellent tip for people to kind of consider building that into your budget, because I think you'll be happier. One of the things, I work a lot with Bloomington Restorations, and we go into a lot of older homes, and we use the term amongst us, I'm sure other people use it too, remodeled. That something's been remodeled instead of remodeled, because you walk in, you know that it wasn't originally designed to be this way, and it just feels weird. And that's one of the reasons I strongly recommend to people, to use a builder who's got some sense about them, and probably a designer too, because I can't tell you the number of homes you've walked in and you're just like, something's just weird about this house.
Yeah, so I will say I've never heard that term before, because we don't remodel anything.
Right, no, that's right.
I never heard it either.
But I do often say, I tell people we're not, there are design build firms. I am not one. There are a handful in town, and I'll recommend people to them if they're looking for a one-stop shop. We personally, in our outfit, have decided to specialize in building. We're a build firm, and I think a designer brings a special skill set. And I've looked at lots of houses that have been remodeled that look like a spaceship settled down on top of them, and or next to them, and that's the addition. Right.
And then you end up with a bathroom that's like in the middle of the kitchen, which is kind of gross to a lot of people. And
I have a lot of skills as a builder. I'm not a designer. A good designer comes with a good designer / architect comes with a lot of personal focused experience on creating floor plans and
livability
that really work and flow and feel good. And when people say, well, I love everything on your website, I have to give credit to all the designers who designed that. All I can take credit for is the execution of the details.
Right, which is important. Phase 2 on your website of the 4-part process is the design and costing. So that's when you've kind of figured out what the scope of the project is, and you're going to go back and do your magic and try and come up with a number.
Yeah, and I phase 1 should say establish the scope and the budget.
Yeah.
If I could change that right now with the website redesign.
Okay. I'm glad I'm helping you out here.
Because that budget should drive the design.
Yeah.
When you go to your architect or designer, don't give them carte blanche approval. Is that how you pronounce that?
Yeah.
Great.
I don't use that in my everyday vocabulary, but I would say yes.
But we all should. Budget drives the design.
They know what they're shooting for. Yeah. You don't want to pay an architect to do $1 million remodel for your $50,000 budget. So we establish the scope, establish the budget, and then we decide who is the design team. Maybe it's just me and the homeowner. Maybe and that's if we're just fleshing out finishes. Maybe it's me, the homeowner, and the tile supplier, or the cabinet maker, or more often, an architect, or architect/designer. And then we coordinate with the homeowner and the design team through that process, which can be pretty short if the scope is really limited and discrete, concise, or it can be 6 months to a year or longer, depending on the complexity of the project, the decision-making abilities of the homeowner, how well they mesh with the design team.
Cool. And then in phase 3, when you're doing the actual construction and the build out, my biggest question about that, I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. I guess I have 2 questions about that. What kind of communication should a homeowner expect from their contractor?
That's a good I mean, I'll give him a minute to think about that, but that's a really good question that I never even considered. I guess in my line of work, I'm supposed to be in constant communication, or at least, I don't know, and I was thinking the same thing, because I would just come home and then the people would be gone, and I'd be like, oh, okay, I can kind of see what's been done.
Or they didn't come the next day, but you don't really know why, and maybe there was a good reason, but
So that's a good question.
That is a really common complaint, the one that you just gave. To answer your question, I picked up my phone. You said that. I looked to see how many text messages I've gotten from current clients in the 10 minutes since the last break, and it's several. We are in constant communication. Constant. And I think that's really, really important for a handful of reasons. One, case in point, today I was in a meeting. I got a phone call from a client. I was in a meeting, so I just hit ignore. I'll call them back after the meeting. They called right back. I answered it. They said, hey, I saw this problem with the drywall and the insulation. The drywall's going up right now. I want to change it. I called one of my guys. I said, get over there right now and let's change this. The construction site is a really dynamic, complex, messy, chaotic, problematic process, and someone needs to be on it all the time. I just feel very much on call. So for that reason, to stay on top of the dynamic, complex, ever-changing environment of the job site. Second piece is just for the peace of mind and comfort of the client, that most clients have not built, renovated, whatever project they're doing is very likely their first one like that, and they don't understand it, and they come home and they see something that doesn't look right. More often than not, it's just not done yet. But they don't understand that, and they're not going to sleep that night if they think that you're screwing up their house. And a quick response to a phone call or an email or a text message can put someone's mind at ease. Or your guys aren't showing up tomorrow morning because the windows didn't show up, or it's going to rain, or the power line got cut by that happened yesterday on a job. I was texted, why aren't the stone guys working? Because the power is out and they can't use their concrete saw. That amount of communication is necessary to give the clients confidence in the process, and it is an incredibly expensive project. A $20,000 project is expensive, and
$500,000 project even more.
So it's one of the biggest investments people make in their life, and we need to remember that, and we have a lot of responsibility to be good stewards of that money and that investment and that confidence that the clients have put in your team, and we have to help them sleep at night.
Right. So if that last little segment there doesn't make you want to hire Lauren Wood Builders as your one and only contractor, then I don't know what to tell you. I definitely think if you're interviewing contractors, you should ask for references from past customers, and you should ask that question. How often did they communicate with you? I've had some people, like some homeowner associations, call me about, and they would ask that question. And that's a really good question to ask if you're trying to figure out. A lot of people know, well, I probably should talk to a few builders and call references, but I don't know what to ask. So I'm telling you, that's a question to ask, is how often did they communicate with you, and how often, were they on the job site when they said they were going to be, and communicate why they weren't, and that sort of thing. It makes all the difference in the world. We've got to take our last break, and then we were going to come back and talk about some of Lauren's favorite projects that he has going on, and how we can find out more. So stick around. You're listening to Real Real Estate Today, your home for smart real estate.
Stimulating talk.
It gets those synapses in the brain firing really fast.
All the time. The number one internet talk station where your opinion counts. VoiceAmerica.com.
Are you interested in buying or selling a home? Not sure what the next step is? Deb can help. Go to realrealestatetoday.com and click on Start Here. You'll be asked a few simple questions, and Deb will personally contact you to help answer your real estate questions and connect you with a realtor in her personal nationwide network of realtors. So even if you aren't in Deb's service area, you're guaranteed to find a good match wherever you are. Visit realrealestatetoday.com.
What makes a great leader? Most have a vision, one that starts beyond the resources available and continues from that point into developing a solid plan, organization, and company. Leadership issues are discussed each week on Voltcast, Illuminating Leadership with host Jeff Smith. Jeff has years of experience as a leader and executive coach, and his guests will bring you information that can help a team of any size. Listen every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific on Voice America Variety.
Streaming live. The leader in internet talk radio. VoiceAmerica.com.
You are listening to Real Estate Today. To reach Deb Tomaro or with questions and comments about the show, please send an email to Deb at realrealestatetoday.com. That's Deb at realrealestatetoday.com. Now, back to this week's program.
All right, welcome back to our last segment. We are talking today with Lauren Wood of Lauren Wood Builders. You can contact him on laurenwoodbuilders.com and find him on Instagram and on Facebook for great pictures of his projects to get some inspiration. Lauren, I want to ask you, are there some trends that you're seeing now? Like, have you seen in the time that you've been in business, have you seen kind of trends come and go? You know, I know you work on a lot of really unique stuff, and so that tends to be not your typical oak cabinets and, you know.
Like heated floors in the bathroom or something like that?
Well, energy efficiency things.
I feel like we're always on the cutting edge of the trends.
Yeah.
Pretentiously, I feel like
so
we're stealing our ideas.
Yeah.
I think trends are more like you're seeing wallpaper come back in.
Yeah, for sure.
Stain trim come back in.
Okay.
You know, for last several years, 7 years ago, 6 years ago, cabinets started, it probably started earlier than that, but I think it started in a really big way, taking a turn towards the contemporary. And I've been seeing just in the last couple of years some deviation from that on the kitchen cabinetry and bathroom cabinetry. I have my finger on the pulse.
I was going to say, so here in Bloomington, we have like the Parade of Homes. So for the listeners that don't know what that is that, I don't know, maybe 10, 12 homes are open.
Lauren, you're usually in that.
You can buy tickets.
I think you won an award, didn't you?
I mean, I would volunteer in my, through my services or, real estate or being a lender, I'm like, oh, I'll sit in one of those houses, because you do walk into one of your designs and you're just inspired. And then you go back to like my world and you go, okay, but that's not how I live. Like, how can I incorporate some of those great things into where I am now? But yeah, a lot of your work is amazing. And I would say that you have the pulse on
for sure
what is yet to happen with the rest of us.
We've been lucky, and we work with good designers.
Yeah,
you keep saying that.
My wife a lot of credit on a lot of our early decisions from a design standpoint. But back to other fads, I see wallpaper coming back in. Which is neat. For a long time I hated wallpaper, but
if it's one wall, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
And not behind a lot of stuff, so when you strip it, don't wallpaper behind your toilet, because that's just tough to strip.
Don't also adopt the same design for your curtains and your couches.
Oh yeah, and it's all the same.
Oh my gosh, that would be weird.
And I'm still not, borders aren't back though, right? Wallpaper borders.
Oh, maybe
have you seen some?
Rooms.
Oh, kids' rooms, yeah. Just tell me, I love a white kitchen. Is that timeless?
Yeah, I think subway tile is timeless.
Yeah, I love subway,
timeless. hexagonal tiles.
Oh yeah, there's some really cool stuff.
I mean, shaker style white kitchen. That's what my kitchen is.
Yeah, perfect. It doesn't go with my house. I live in like a 100-year-old house, and it's all like, the original wood trim, real wide boards and stuff. And I look at the kitchen all the time, and I think, how can I turn this into a white kitchen? Because I just don't think it would work. But that's my dream. What's the newest, coolest countertop material?
Oh, I don't know. Quartz is still. Yeah, I love quartz. Probably.
And I think that's a misconception a lot of people have, because we never really got. You go out, I guess, HGTV or East Coast, West Coast, and everybody has granite countertops regardless of the price point of the house. Mm-hmm. Here, you kind of got to get up to $300,000 to $400,000 before you really start to see tons and tons of granite. You see it every now and then, but it's not an expectation. But it's still, people talk about granite all the time, and I'm with you. I love quartz. It's beautiful.
It's more resilient than granite. You have a lot more options and uniformity too. I mean, you pick out a certain style of, I'm not going to say any brand names here, but a certain color in there, and you know what it's going to look like. Whereas the granite, you have to pick out the slab. It's a little more onerous process to really get the exact piece you want.
Figure out where you want to cut it and all that good stuff. Yeah, for sure. What are you doing? A lot of things with energy efficiency? Seems to be a buzzword.
Yeah, I mean, we by default, you won't find the word green on our website because I think it's overused and used to sort of make me throw up my mouth. But I've gotten over that. I just believe that people should, as a matter of course, be building homes that are thoughtful of the energy efficiency. Oftentimes, comfort of the home is tied very closely to the efficiency of the design and the package, and also just the carbon footprint on the planet. Whether or not you believe that global warming is a real thing, it takes a lot of. If you ever worked on a construction site, you see how much stuff is going into the trash. You see how much it costs to heat and cool that home during construction, and then thereafter, there are a few downsides to building a really energy efficient home other than the cost. And there are a lot of things that you can do that pay off. There are some that aren't, or that don't, rather. And so we work with each client to look at their needs. And there are a lot of things we do as a default that we just think makes sense for a comfortable, efficient construction. But beyond that, like if someone wants, say, solar panels, we talk about the cost and the payoff and
geothermal.
Yeah,
that seems to be a good one.
Although the federal tax credits have gone away, and so that changes the math for people. For a long time, it just made sense.
Yeah, right.
When compared to high efficiency gas furnace.
Right, but now you have like a 10 or 15 year payback on it.
Longer. Yeah. But insulation always pays faster and has a bigger impact, I think, than geothermal. So I always say when people bring up geothermal, to my HVAC people, commercial services, I'll go ahead and give them a shout out.
Yeah, please.
The only people I work with.
Yeah, they're great.
We like them. They do a good job with the geothermal, but I always think your money is better spent on doing a really quality insulation and air sealing package, putting in some mechanical ventilation by way of an ERV, an energy recovery ventilator, and then just high efficiency. A heat pump, a air heat pump, or a high efficiency gas furnace.
Yeah, one of the things I've noticed about some of your projects, and I don't want to make a blanket statement, but there's a lot of big windows in a lot of your projects, and I always wonder about the efficiency of that, because people seem to think they correlate windows with inefficiency, and I don't think that's necessarily. It's not the bulk. I read some number somewhere, and I can't remember what it was now, but it's like it's really, you're going to get, insulation is going to have more of an impact than windows. But yeah, you've definitely got some big windows going on in some of those projects, which is kind of cool.
So to answer that question, I mean, windows are less efficient than an insulated wall, no doubt.
Right, because it's a
whole wall of windows that is inefficient by its very nature.
Yeah.
But there are ways that there are higher quality windows that function a lot better. You can get triple glazed, thermally broken. I mean, most windows are getting better and better, but they're certainly high-end windows.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Lauren, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. And if you want to contact Lauren about a project or questions, I'm sure he would happily answer those. And you can find him on the website, laurenwoodbuilders.com. There's a Contact Us page, and you can contact him there. And I know he's great about getting back to people. And follow him on Instagram. Get inspired by the pictures that are out there. And I really need to see some pictures of the McDowell Church that's being turned into a yoga and climbing studio. I didn't know that's what they were doing with it, and that is so cool. So a lot of really cool projects going on out there in Bloomington, and hopefully it inspires the rest of the world as well. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and we will be back next week with another great show on Real Estate Today, your home for smart real estate.
Thank you for tuning into Real Estate Today. Please join your host, Deb Tomaro, for another edition every Tuesday at 12 noon Pacific Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Variety Channel. Until next week, take care of your home. It's one of your most important assets.